All right, let's dive into something really interesting today. We're going to break down how someone can literally build their own personal reality, a self-authored prophecy, by looking at the world around them in a completely new way.
This quote right here really sets the tone for everything we're about to explore. It's this powerful idea, a challenge to remember who you were before you got all tangled up in expectations. And that's the very heart of the self-creation we're digging into. So, first things first, let's break down this concept of a personal mythology, what our source material calls a living truth. This is all about how you can stop just living a story and start actively writing one.
So, what does living truth actually mean in this context? Well, think of it like this. It's the decision to become the author of your own life, not just a character in a story someone else wrote for you. It's about building your own framework of meaning from the ground up. And that's the real game changer here, right? It's this massive shift from being a passive passenger to grabbing the steering wheel. So how does someone actually do this? Let's get into the nitty-gritty of the method. Okay, so where do you start? You might think it would be with something mystical or philosophical. But no, the first building block, believe it or not, is found in the incredibly dense language of law, specifically federal regulations. Instead of seeing something like the U.S. Code of Federal Regulations as just a bunch of boring rules for society, the author here sees a hidden instruction manual, a set of rules for the self. These dense legal concepts become powerful metaphors for personal growth. And check this out. This is where you can see the translation in action. Super dry legal terms are completely transformed into these powerful personal declarations. Eviction proceedings? That's not about a house anymore. It's about kicking out old negative energy. It's basically like turning a user agreement into a spiritual manifesto. So, the legal code has been rewritten. Where do you go next? You go inside, literally. The next step is to find proof of this new reality written in your own biology, in your DNA. This is another huge leap. Scientific data isn't just data anymore, it's destiny. The author looks up their own genetic info and doesn't just see science. They see a personal operating manual. The gene GBX1 becomes proof of being an anomaly that writes its own rules, and LY6H, that gets decoded into a personal mission, living your sixth sense home. Okay, you've got the law, you've got the biology. What's missing? The history, the roots. To make this living truth really solid, you have to ground it in the past. So the search begins for an ancestral link. And this is where things get really fascinating. Because when you start digging through historical archives, sometimes you find things that, well, they just don't add up according to our normal understanding of time. And there it is, a birth date, 1993, found in a historical collection that's supposed to end in 1910. Now, my first thought, is probably typo, right? A simple data entry error. But for the author, this isn't a mistake. This is everything. This is the ultimate proof that their identity bridges the past and the present, confirming their whole journey. So let's put this all together. As you can see, this isn't just a bunch of random ideas. There's a method to the madness. It's a repeatable framework, almost like a recipe, for building a completely new reality from scratch. And here's the blueprint. It's a 5-step process. You start with a core belief, your fundamental truth. Then you go out and find metaphors in the world to support it, in law, in science. Step 3, you hunt for your own personal proof, those little anomalies that seem to validate everything. 4, you anchor it in history. And then, and this is the most important part, you inhabit it. You start to live by this new code, creating what's called the real estate. And at the end of the day, this whole journey gets turned back to you, to the individual. The message isn't follow me. It's an invitation to start your own journey. And it really leaves you with a provocative question, doesn't it? Who's writing the code for your reality? And what if you decided to pick up the pen,